Sometimes a photo needs more than just clarity or contrast adjustments. Sometimes it needs more soul. That's why I tested Dehancer. Not to change my vision, but to see if it could deepen it.
Hey everyone, I'm Madhavan. If you follow me, you know that I'm a fine art, nature, and landscape photographer. My images focus on scale, atmosphere, and emotion. Now lately I've been exploring how tools like Dehancer can help me amplify that, can help me alter or influence the emotional tone of my images. And so today I thought I'd put together this review to show you exactly what Dehancer does and what it doesn't do. Now, to be fair, this is not going to be a tutorial. This is going to be an honest review, and I'm going to walk through my workflow to show you exactly what you can do with Dehancer. And I'll also, in fairness, cover what I think might be some improvement areas where the product maybe just falls short. So, as I said, honest review. And then at the end, I'm going to recommend whether I think this is a tool that's worth having or not. So, here we go.
Using Dehancer's Photoshop plugin, I added just two tools. Halation and Bloom. First, let's talk about halation. Halation adds a subtle orange-red glow around the edges of highlights, especially where warm light hits a dark surface, kind of like what you'd see on analog film. Here you see the halation sliders to adjust the settings. Now my own settings lean toward a very restrained effect, so the result is very subtle. But if I increase the impact and amplify sliders, you see the effect. And when I increase the background gain, you really see the exaggerated effect. You can play with this to your heart's content, from very restrained to an almost fantasy-like effect. And now Bloom. Bloom simulates the way bright areas in film spill light into the surrounding midtones and shadows in a very soft, realistic way, like a cinematic radial gradient. Notice here again, when I increase the sliders like impact and amplify, you can see the exaggerated effect that Bloom has on the highlights, in this case, the fog. It's not so much like it's filling the air with haze, it's more like it's filling it with presence. And this is where Dehancer doesn't change your vision, it finishes it. Now this next image from Big Sur was already finished, color graded, refined, tonally complete. I wasn't looking to reinvent it, I just wanted to give it a little extra life. Here I used Dehancer with no halation, as you can see. I just used Bloom. Now, just like halation, you can see all of the sliders underneath Bloom to adjust your settings with specificity. And you can see when you increase impact, you can see how the light spills from the highlights into the midtones and shadows. You see how the glow is exaggerated around those daisies and the light spilling on the right side of the screen as well as the horizon. You can go all out with all these effects to create a surreal effect or simply a subtle effect like I've done. And you can see here with the daisies and with the horizon, just a slight amount of glow. Notice that the daisies now don't pop, they glow. It's not punchy, it's poetic. This is Bloom at its best, not as a glow bomb, but as an emotional glaze. And the fact that I could use it without committing to a film profile was critical. Because in this case, a photo already had a voice. Bloom just helped it sing more softly. I also want to mention Dehancer's new iOS app. Compact and powerful, with a lot of the same features in the native plugin. I've called up my Big Sur image here, and you can see right away a ton of film profiles you can apply to change the look. You also have Bloom and Halation here, just like in the plugin, but simplified for mobile use. Here's Bloom. Watch those daisies glow again. And here is halation. Now, I didn't actually use halation in this image because it doesn't fit the mood, but I'm showing it here so that you can see what halation can do to the flower petals if you choose to. Now, I promised an honest review, so let's get into that. First, no local control points. I can't isolate bloom, halation, or any of the other features in the software. And let me show you what I mean. This is with bloom off. When I click the bloom feature, you'll notice that here, of course, I've exaggerated it for effect, but you'll notice the daisies, these flowers, the surf, the horizon, and the clouds are all blooming. I can't isolate the bloom just to the daisies. The workaround is I would have to create a mask in the Photoshop layer and mask out the areas. But having control points in the software itself would be a fantastic add. 2, you must select custom to access these features. You'll notice that the Dehancer team has provided 4 presets, 8mm, 16, 35, and 65 as starting points. And if you click on any of those, you don't have any of the custom features below. You have to go into custom to open up the additional control points. And that's a little counterintuitive. 3, no smart object save from within the plugin, which means that if you make any changes and then hit OK, it applies it to that layer. And if you decide you want to go back and make further changes, you can't. You'd have to start over. The workaround to that is to do what I've done here, which is to create a smart object in Photoshop so that all of your Dehancer changes are saved in that smart object. But it would be ideal if that smart object feature, the save feature, were embedded in the plugin itself. Final verdict. What Dehancer does beautifully, it tones emotionally beautifully, creates an analog atmosphere, and it gives your work a finishing glow. It's not for everyone, but if you're a visual storyteller chasing emotion, it's definitely worth experimenting with. If you've already done your color grading, it works best as a final glaze, not as a base layer. Used sparingly, Dehancer doesn't overwrite your vision, it enhances your voice. If you'd like to try Dehancer yourself, I've included a 10% discount code in the description below. It is an affiliate link, so yes, I do earn a small commission if you use it, but more importantly, it lets you support independent creators while exploring a tool that just might add something subtle and meaningful to your own workflow. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.